I'm going to let Lee get set up. We're going to do something a little different for today's sermon. So I hope that this moves you in some way and that it's as touching for you as it's been for me to work on it. So. Will you pray with me? God, let your Spirit wash over us. Let your Spirit fill us and shape us and guide us through your word and song. Amen.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
John 9, 1 through 41, the Message translation. Walking down the street, Jesus saw a man who was blind from birth. His disciples asked, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, causing him to be born blind?" Jesus said, "You're asking the wrong question. You're looking for someone to blame. There is no such cause and effect here. Look instead for what God can do. We need to be energetically at work for the one who sent me here, working while the sun shines. When night falls, the workday is over. For as long as I am in the world, there is plenty of light. I am the world's light." He said this, and then he spit in the dust and made a clay paste with the saliva. He rubbed the paste on the blind man's eyes and said, "Go and wash in the pool of Siloam," which means sent. The man went and washed and saw. Soon all the town was buzzing. His relatives and those who year after year had only seen him as a blind man begging were saying, "Why, isn't this the man we knew who sat here and begged?" Others said, "Yeah, that's him all right." But others objected, "It's not that man at all. It's just someone who looks like him." He said, "Yes, it's me. I'm the very one." They said, "How did your eyes get opened?" He said, "A man named Jesus made a paste and rubbed it on my eyes and told me to go to Siloam and wash. I did what he said, and when I washed, I saw." "So where is he? Where is that guy?" "I don't know," he said. So they marched the man to the Pharisees. Because this day when Jesus had made this paste and healed his blindness happened to be the Sabbath. The Pharisees grilled him again on how he had come to see. He said, "He put clay paste on my eyes and I washed, and now I see." Some of the Pharisees said, "Obviously, this man can't be from God. He doesn't keep the Sabbath." Others countered, "But how can a bad man do miraculous God-revealing things like this?" And there was a split in their ranks. They came back to the blind man and said, "You're the expert. He opened your eyes. What do you say about him?" He said, "He's a prophet." The Jews didn't believe it. They didn't believe the man was blind to begin with. So they called the parents of the man who was now bright-eyed with sight, and they asked them, "Is this your son, the one you say was born blind? So how is it that he now sees?" His parents said, "Yes, we know it's our son, and we know he was born blind. But we have no idea how he came to see. We haven't a clue who opened his eyes." "Why don't you ask him? He's a grown man and he can speak for himself." His parents were talking like this because they were intimidated by the religious leaders who had already decided that anyone who took a stand that this was the Messiah would be kicked out of the meeting place. That's why his parents said, "Ask him, he's a grown man." So they called the man back a second time, the man who had been born blind, and told him, "Give credit to God. We know this man is an imposter." He replied, "I know nothing about that one way or the other, but I do know one thing for sure. I was blind, and now I see." They said, "What did he do to you? How did he open your eyes?" He said, "I've told you over and over, and you haven't listened. Why do you want to hear it again? Are you so eager to become his disciples?" With that, they jumped all over him. "You might be a disciple of that man, but we are disciples of Moses. We know for sure that God spoke to Moses, but we have no idea where this man even comes from." The man replied, "Well, isn't this amazing? You claim to know nothing about him, but the fact is he opened my eyes. It's well known that God isn't at the beck and call of sinners, but listens carefully to anyone who lives in reverence and does his will. That someone opened the eyes of a man born blind has never been heard of, ever. If this man didn't come from God, he wouldn't be able to do anything." They said, "You are nothing but dirt. How dare you take that tone with us?" And then they threw him out onto the street. Jesus heard that they had thrown the man out, and he went and he found him. He asked him, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" The man said, "Point him out to me, sir, so that I can believe in him." Jesus said, "You're looking right at him. Don't you recognize my voice?" "Master, I believe," the man said, and worshiped him. Jesus then said, "I came into the world to bring everything into the clear light of day, making all the distinctions clear so that those who have never seen will see, and those who have made great pretense of seeing will be exposed as blind." Some of the Pharisees overheard him and said, "Does that mean you're calling us blind?" Jesus said, "If you were really blind, then you would be blameless. But since you claim to see everything so well, you're accountable for every fault and failure."
'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed.
A group of surgeons traveled across Europe and America, operating on dozens of people who had been blind from cataracts since birth. The doctors who traveled around would test their patients before and after surgery, and they found that the people had no perception of form or distance, size or space. Before the operation, they would hand each of the people a shape, a cube or a sphere, and as the person felt it with their hands, they could name it correctly every time. But after the surgery, they would show them the object without being able to touch it, and they had no idea what they were seeing. For these patients, a house is known in distance by steps, not by measurement of sight. A person they love is known by the feel of their body, not a description of the measurement of their height. Close your eyes. Imagine what it would be like to be born blind, to come to know the world through your other senses. Now open your eyes and imagine what it would be like to suddenly gain sight. Imagine the sensory bombardment of light and shapes and images that would come with new sight. These doctors found that the mental effort involved with finding a new way of seeing can be completely and totally overwhelming. As this group of surgeons traveled, they said that many of the people that they helped to gain sight couldn't handle the transition. It's shocking and disorienting to realize, if they ever do at all, the tremendous size of the world which they had previously experienced as touchable and manageable. Some of the people struggled so deeply with this new way of being that they chose to just close their eyes and continue living in the way that they knew and felt comfortable with.
Through many danger, toil, and snare, I have already come. 'Tis grace that brought me safe this far, and grace will lead me home.
Gaining sight is disorienting. In our text today from the Gospel of John, we meet a man who was born blind. Jesus and his disciples encounter the man, and first the cause of his blindness is questioned. Jesus responds not by addressing the cause of the man's blindness, but by finding purpose in his healing. He makes mud, rubs it on the man's eyes, and sends him to the pool of Siloam. When the man returns able to see for that first time, we see that his new sight certainly brings the disorientation and destabilization often associated with new sight. However, in this story, his new sight does not disorient the man who can now see as much as it disorients those around him. New sight doesn't disorient the man who can now see. He's the only one who actually has clarity. It's all those around him who can't figure out how this happened and what to do. The neighbors wonder, why is this man who we know should be sitting on the side of the road begging, why is he now up acting like he is one of us? They argue amongst themselves and try and figure out how this could have possibly happened. Then they go to the Pharisees because they'll know what to do. They're the ones who keep order, who keep the community in line, keep the customs strong. The man's brought in front of the Pharisees, and even they can't reconcile the situation. Why is this man born blind, who must be born in sin? Why is he now able to see? And further, how could this man Jesus have performed this healing? We don't even know where this guy Jesus is from. All we do know is that he's breaking the Sabbath laws. How can someone who breaks the laws be from God? And how can someone who is not from God perform healing like this? It doesn't add up. They are befuddled. For further insight, they called the parents of the man who was formerly blind to testify. And even the parents are confounded. None of them expected this. None of them can explain it or understand it because their sense of reality has been completely disordered. When the man was blind, they knew the way things were supposed to be. The man knew his place. Born in sin, he was relegated to the sidelines as a beggar. The parents, immersed in the social order of the day, knew that their son, born blind, brought shame on the family. The Pharisees knew that they were the ultimate deciders of who's in and who's out. If you're from God, then you follow the rules, you stay in line, and you don't rock the boat, and you're in. If you challenge their power and authority, if you break food laws and Sabbath laws or show evidence of being in sin, such as being born blind, then you are out. No question. These are easy, clear-cut answers. Until they aren't. Until something happens that changes everything we are certain of. Until our perspective shifts and our world turns upside down. Until a blind man can suddenly see. Until an outsider is healing on the Sabbath. Until we are completely overwhelmed and bombarded by new light, new shapes, new order, new structures. Until we are overtaken by the revelation of new sight.
When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise as when we first begun.
In today's text, gaining sight means letting go of our assumptions, our expectations, and being open to the possibility of God at work in the world, in our lives, and in our communities. Sometimes God is moving in ways that we can't conceive of, ways that are beyond our line of sight. Sometimes God is moving in the person or in the community that we have discarded or ignored. You may know that the song, Amazing Grace, was written by the captain of a slave ship who came to see that what he was engaged in was wrong. He had an encounter with God that changed the way he saw the world, the way he saw himself, and the way he treated other people. With this new revelation, this new sight, he realized that that cargo in the back of the ship was not cargo at all, but human beings created and loved by God. This new sight changed his life forever. We must continuously ask, what are we blind to? What assumptions do we have that limit our ability to see the way God is working in our lives and in our community? And as we sense God doing a new thing in each of our lives, in this congregation and around the world, may God's grace be like mud and spit. May our eyes and our hearts be opened as we walk into the creative movement of God alive and with us now. Amazing grace,
how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many danger, toil, and snare, I have already come. 'Twas grace that brought me safe this far, and grace shall lead me home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, there's no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see.